Hey guys, welcome back. It's Friday. We made it. Fridays are my favorite shows. Typically not as many of you show up on Fridays, probably getting ready for the weekend. You got plans. Some of you are out of town. And that's okay because you'll catch it on the weekend. That's fine. And but I had promised you guys I was going to look at this film called Toxic Skies, and it's a film starring Heche. And today I'm going to show you something that your eyes are not going to believe. There are elements in this film that seem to match almost exactly the events surrounding the last moments of her life. Now, how could this be? Well, that's for you to decide. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to present the evidence. So what's in this film that seems to mirror the last moments of her life? Well, being chased in a car, being zipped up in a body bag and escaping from the body bag, and a patient fighting the doctor to escape. Now, if you're confused about the final moments of Heche's life, and you have not seen the last moments before she goes into the ambulance, you need to probably do that before we get into today's show, Toxic Skies. Now, the film opens with a paranoid man, and he's carrying sensitive information, obviously, about sky trails. We're going to have to call them sky trails. So if we don't, there'll be a little disclaimer put under this video, which will flag it for a strike at some point. But he's basically running and he's trying to evade these people who he believes are following him. Which, of course, many theorize that this is exactly what happened to Heche, and this is why she was driving so fast. She even stopped in at a wig shop to seemingly buy a disguise. And she was traveling at a high rate of speed. And people believe she was evading someone who was following her. Let's take a look at this montage I put together, and you'll see for yourself the similarities. They even put her name down here in the opening credits. Now, this, of course, isn't Heche, but you can see her name here in the credits here underneath the thing there. And the scenario is the same, though. Let's keep watching. Now, this guy pulls in as he's being chased, and on the license plate it says 365 day is what it looks like to me. Let's zoom in on that. Now, I'm not sure what this means, 365 day, but here's what I can tell you. Toxic Skies released on 11/12/2008. Here it is right here. And look what happens when you scramble these numbers. 11/12/2008 becomes 8/11/2022. Look at the digits. Almost every digit accounted for. You could look at this as like 8, and then all the ones over on this side, 11/22. 8/11/22. What? Now, this guy that's being chased gets out of the car. Lo and behold, on his t-shirt, watch this. Is a 666 barcode. Why is it 666? Well, all barcodes have 3 prominent lines, one on each side and one in the middle, and their value is 6. 6 and a 6 and 6. In case you didn't know, this has been long known and understood. So this is starting to play out like the mark of the beast. Why would they put the barcode on this guy in the opening scenes? Now, here's something else you probably didn't know. This is Smith Corona. Smith Corona. What? Let's make this bigger so you can see this. And Smith Corona, which just so happens to be someone's favorite typewriter, Gump, makes barcodes. Corona barcodes. Here they are right here. It's even in their logo. So what, Casey? Well, people are going to keep saying, so what? And every time they say that, things start happening in our reality, marching us toward an endpoint agenda. After a while, there's going to be no more so what, because it's all going to become very clear. Why do you think Mr. Spanks loves this typewriter? I think we all pretty much know why he loves the typewriter. No. This movie is supposed to be all about trails in the sky, right? Sky trails. And the cover-up. And it is toward the end of the film, but for a while, basically, they start talking about this mystery virus. The whole first part of the movie is about this mystery virus. And this guy ends up getting taken out. They call it a suicide, but it's actually they take him out with a needle to the neck and chloroform. And before he's able to get this information to his brother Jack, watch this.
Look, I think they're on to me, and I'm not being paranoid, really. But I got everything I needed. All the proof. Yeah. Leave a message. Jack.
So he's calling his brother Jack, and that's the last time you'll see the man that was on the phone because they suicide him pretty much. So he calls his brother Jack. Now watch this. Here's your confirmation about the 666 barcode. This is Jack Tupper, or Jack Bowen, played by James Tupper. And he was born on August 4th. Now, many of you realized that August 4th was the date that 6 people got struck by lightning at Washington, D.C. and died. So what? What's so special about August 4th, Casey? Well, I'm going to show you right now. August 4th. Where'd it go? Oh, I think I put it in here. Is the 216th day of the year, which is 6 times 6 times 6. Now, this movie is set in Seattle. And the first clue that we get, that basically what's being depicted here, is basically what's happening right now from a 2008 film. First clue we get is that the date of Anne Heche's death, 8/11, actually is the 223rd day of the year. 223, which is 322 backwards. Here it is right here. 8/11, the 223rd day of the year. 322 backwards. Now let's keep watching here, because now they're going to start talking about an oxygen deprivation aspect to the film. Like I said, this guy meets his end in a bathtub, a suicide cover-up basically, after he's knocked out with chloroform. And then they're going to start talking about asthma and inability to breathe. And this was one of the main symptoms of this mystery illness.
All the proof. Yeah. Maybe now you'll listen to one. I think I'm being followed.
I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Any ideas?
And of course, the 811 also appears on this newspaper. It looks almost like a license plate they wrote down, 811, the date of her death. And these look to be like bacteria or something, don't they? Above those numbers. Oh, is that a 7? That's actually a 7. All right, let's keep watching here. So this is Jack, the brother of the guy who got suicided, and he's basically a photographer. And basically he's a Skytrail believer and an investigative journalist. And he's investigating Anne Heche because he believes that she's on the other side, helping with poisoning people. But he finds out later that she's a friendly.
Comfortable.
My nurse.
Now this guy, enter this guy, he's the doctor that works with Anne to help try to solve this mystery illness. He was born on the eve of Halloween during the Samhain portal season.
What about the respiratory problems?
The same in all of them. Almost asthmatic, which is why my first thought was pneumonia, but they're not responding to any of the meds. We have 3 new cases, all presenting the same acute flu-like symptoms, but they're not responding to any of the treatment.
Did you try any tetracyclines?
No, we had to keep them on corticosteroids in order to control the lymphatic inflammation, which is a major contraindication.
They're poisoning our food, air, and water.
So this is basically the underground Skytrail believers. They all meet up and they're trying to come up with strategies to expose the government and all this. So this is supposed to represent all of us, right? But look on the chalkboard.
But if we stay focused and committed, we can make a difference. Now.
There's our August 4th confirmation. 216th day of the year. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. This is about the mark. It always has been, hasn't it? And it even says Twin Cities. What is Twin Cities? That's the twin spirits inside of you. It's possession. Like we've been saying. Let's keep watching.
This virus is progressing at epidemic proportions. If it's not contained, then the consequences are going to be much more costly. My role within the GHO is to identify rare viruses with this special emphasis on preventing outbreaks.
So obviously she works for they call it the NGO or the GHO or something, which is like go, right? And I think it's called the Global Health Organization.
I mean, we're talking statewide panic and millions of dollars in economic losses. Dr. Martin, to quarantine an entire city without a proper diagnosis...
Seen this range of symptoms in rural Asian countries where outbreaks like this are more common. It could be anything, from the avian flu to the bubonic plague.
So, the metaphors pointing forward from this film to the current pandemic are uncanny. I mean, it's almost undeniable at this point. The level of foreshadowing. So at this point, Anne Heche begins contact tracing to try to find the origin of the pathogen. And she narrows it down to a Professor Corbin who got on a plane. Watch this.
Is there any comment on the cause of the epidemic?
There's no epidemic. So she must have met up with him at his place the night he got back. This virus could have been spread all over the country by now. I'm on it.
So she goes to his house. She goes to Professor Corbin's house. But it's too late, and all she finds is a dead cat and some Chinese food. There's the Chinese food. Wow. Let's keep watching.
Oh.
Now, listen to what she says next. Remember, this is set in Seattle, Washington, where Gil Bates lives, and where he unleashed a bunch of mosquitoes.
They say he's been dead 2-3 days. He had a mosquito bite on him. And he's been to Malaysia.
So he had a mosquito bite on him, which, they give it all away pretty much, right? For those who are listening, let's keep watching.
Hazmat team out here and seal this place up right away.
Graceful.
Then, here we are. This is like 30 minutes into the film almost. And as you can see, the emphasis of this film is on a viral outbreak. This is what they think it is, not the sky trails. So as the outbreak progresses, they notice some of the patients getting these sores. Sounds like the grievous sores in the Bible, doesn't it?
Well, you certainly have dancer's legs.
Now, it's at this point that Heche begins to realize that something else is going on. Everybody starts acting weird. All the higher ups start acting really weird, like they're trying to cover something up or trying to steer her down a preset path to where she doesn't discover what's really going on. And she gets this package dropped in her car about sky trails. And this is when she starts digging into what could be going on. So she starts researching this on the internet. And she finds out that a pharmaceutical company named Keller is likely behind it. This is the pharmaceutical company logo right here, Keller Pharmaceuticals. And she thinks that they're behind the trails.
Everyone's immune systems are completely shot. Their antibody counts are dangerously low. Definitely the plague. I just think there's something else we haven't seen.
Barium 5 milligrams, aluminum 7. What the hell?
Thanks so much.
Well, what are you looking for?
Immune suppressing agents.
What, metals?
Yeah.
It's, where the government's supposedly mixing chemicals in with jet fuel.
Contaminating the white vapor trails that commercial airlines leave behind. This might sound a little weird. Have you ever heard of chemtrails?
Are you kidding me? So, what they're saying here is that these heavy metals, barium and aluminum, build up in the body and negatively affect the immune system, opening you up to all kinds of infections. They're pretty much giving it all away right here.
Yeah.
What if it's true? What if the chemicals are affecting the general population somehow?
I called you in here for a progress report, and all you've got is a conspiracy theory?
It adds up.
No, it doesn't, Dr. Martin.
The antibiotics won't work without the metals being cleared.
I can't stay here.
Then we get the slam dunk. A man on the gurney trying to get away from the doctor, which is exactly what happened to Anne Heche in her final moments. Now, this could all be theatrics, but I can't understand what the purpose of it would be if it was all just fake and made up. Unless they're trying to scare people like us who believe in these things. Like, oh, you're going to end up like this if you keep digging. That could be it, but I'm not scared. If anything, this proves our point. This proves what these people are up to. Now watch this part and think about what happened to her in the final moments where she's trying to get out of the body bag and she's being pushed back down onto the gurney.
I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Okay, sir, let go. Let me out. I don't want to die. Let me out of here. I don't want to die.
Unbelievable. Now it gets even more specific because Jack ends up hiding inside a body bag and unzips himself just like what happened to her.
Some people think it's population control. Other people think it's to increase our dependency on pharmaceuticals. We don't know. Diabetes, asthma, Alzheimer's, cancer, autism, list goes on and on.
So this was Jack's brother. This is how he met his end, in a bathtub.
The police investigated. They determined that it was in fact a suicide. You'll see that we do provide conditioners to the government to refine their jet fuel, but I can...
Wait, I'm going to play that part back. Listen to this. They admit that they put conditioners in the jet fuel, that the pharmaceutical companies sell conditioners to the companies that make the jet fuel. And this is what in the film that they adjusted to make it so people got sick so they could sell them the cure. Apollo brings the disease and Apollo brings the cure.
Police investigated. They determined that it was in fact a suicide. You'll see that we do provide conditioners to the government to refine their jet fuel. There's nothing in the jet fuel that is harmful in any way. There's nothing in the jet fuel that is harmful in any way. There is.
Now, I don't know if pharmaceutical companies really do contract with government to provide conditioners for jet fuel. This is supposed to be fictional. But this is interesting to say the least, isn't it? Now, let's pause for a second because we have to ask ourselves, why are they disclosing all this stuff in film? Because people ask, they're like, Casey, come on. Would they really disclose all this stuff? Why would they be telling us all this just so they could get in trouble? Well, first of all, they're never going to get in trouble. But let me tell you what the end game is. This is mental sorcery. When you fictionalize something, in other words, you put it in movies in a fictional situation or scenario, it automatically makes it not real in your mind. Okay? Now, I'm sure they've done extensive psychological studies on this, and they know this to be true because this is exactly what they're doing it. They're fictionalizing the truth so that nobody believes it. So that when you figure this out on your own through critical thinking, and you start asking a bunch of questions, they say, oh, you saw that in a movie. You saw that in Toxic Skies. That's not real.
There's no barium. There is no aluminum.
Then we get the red ambulance. Now, I put this in slow motion, so I wanted to show you guys. This was very similar to the ambulance that she was in, and they just had this one scene of the ambulance driving away from the front of the hospital, which, and it's Life Med is the name of the ambulance in this particular scene. I thought that was interesting. So she smuggles Jack out of the hospital after he arrives there because he got shot because these armed thugs were after him. I think they were from the pharmaceutical company trying to take him out because he had blood samples that he wanted to have tested for these heavy metals, and they did not want that to go public. So how does she smuggle him out? In a white sheet, kind of like the one she was wheeled out in.
Hop on.
There he is under the white sheet. Military comes out.
Oh, it's a rush.
Just trying to save lives, sir. Excuse me.
Then they go into the coroner's office, and there's all these body bags.
Okay.
Creepy. So you need to find a vaccine.
Well, I'm pretty sure there already is one.
But they won't release the vaccine because it'd be like
Warp speed. How did we get a smack the nation so fast? How do we get a smack scene so fast? Apollo in his penthouse at the 66th floor, bringer of the disease and bringer of the cure.
I don't think Killer would have released this into the world without protecting itself.
And here's Jack in the body bag, and this is the ultimate scene right here. This is it, because this is pretty much exactly what we saw play out on the gurney in real life. Now, granted, it was a white bag, but it zipped from the middle. Wow. Now, any one of these metaphors or similarities or coincidences, whatever you want to call them, any one of them means nothing. But when you put it all together, being chased by strange cars, struggling against the doctors, smuggling people under sheets, the red ambulance, hiding in body bags, it becomes very creepy, doesn't it?
So you have been putting chemicals in the jet fuel?
With the sole intent of slowing global warming.
I have proof that you're contaminating this country. So you have been putting chemicals in the jet fuel?
The military admits that the Sky Trail program existed to solve global warming. But then they say basically that it's not their fault, that they had trusted the pharmaceutical companies, and that pharmaceutical companies were the ones that messed around with the formulation, which made people sick so they can make a bunch of money. So the film actually depicts the military as the good guys. And I believe that's where your deception is. They're, again, the right-left paradigm, picking good guys and bad guys, when in reality, everybody at the top is corrupted. There are no good and bad guys. They're all bad. And they're pretending to oppose each other to trick you and I into going down the agenda.
I have proof that you're contaminating this country's jet fuel, causing people's immune systems to break down and making this outbreak virtually unstoppable. I'll take credit for the vaccine myself, and you can go on living your lie. I need you to hand over the vaccine.
The vaccine?
I won't tell anybody the whole story.
Tell me you haven't been holding on to a vaccine this whole time.
Now, some of you are probably in shock right now, but understand, there is even computer technology that they've been holding on to that they won't release yet because of money. What makes you think they wouldn't do this very same thing with health? What makes you think they wouldn't do that? Of course, there's the possibility that this could happen. Greed is greed. And if they have, think about it, computer technology that they haven't rolled out yet, they've got the next 5 or 10 years already developed. And if you want to talk about saving lives, these people like to tote and talk about all the time how technology advancement saves people's lives and makes the world a much better place. And if they're holding that back when they could be releasing it to save lives, right? And I'm talking about computer technology here, which is a metaphor for something else, isn't it? Then why wouldn't they be releasing these things sooner? Why are they holding on to these things? It's not because they're not tested. They know they work, but they want to get all they can out of the current technology before they release the other technology. They want to ride it till the wheels fall off, don't they? So I'm hoping you guys understand this. I'm hoping that you saw clearly the foreknowledge, foreshadowing, whatever you want to call it, of events that had not happened yet. And then you can decide what all that means to you personally. I know what it means to me, but it's a path that you have to go down. It takes a while to wake up to it and realize what's actually really happening here. And it involves mass manipulation of people's minds, is what it involves. And once you wake up to that, then you understand Jesus' words in the Bible, that we're not supposed to love this world. Yes, Redeem, thanks for reminding me. August 4th is supposedly Obama's birthday. We don't talk a lot about Obama anymore because he's not too much of a factor. I do believe he's a silent factor in this current presidency, but most people aren't going to make that connection, and so we don't really focus on him anymore. We did a lot of videos on Obama during his presidency on this channel. Lots. Most of them centered around I Pet Goat 2, in which he appeared. But you're absolutely correct. Obama was born on the 6x6x6th day of the year, August 4th, the 216th day of the year. So that makes him also, they're all of them, all of these leaders are evil and occult. That's the whole point of this channel, is to demonstrate that to you. And it coincides with what the Bible says. The Bible says man cannot lead himself. It talks about greed, the Pharisees, and everything else. So that's what's going on, you guys. All right, what else we have here? Good comments. Thanks, everybody. Many antichrists. Satan's proxies. Yes, him and the Don are two main players in the scheme. Now, it's interesting because what you have with Obama and Trump are two polar opposites, right? You have it's the exactly what it is the chessboard. It's the black versus the white. This is what they love. They like extremes on the left and extremes on the right. That way, it keeps people firmly divided. And they make you choose one or the other. And they make them so stark in their difference that you feel like you have to choose one or the other to counter the other side. That's the trick. That's the trick. That's how they get you. If you start feeling like that, like you have to choose one man over another and you have to cast your vote to counter the other side, then you've already lost. You've already given into, yes, the duality of the beast. That's how they get you. Jesus says we're not supposed to be any part of this world. We're not supposed to love this world. But yet I see all these Christians loving this world. When the Bible specifically says we're not supposed to. We're supposed to keep our eyes fixed on heaven. Now, I just mentioned about 5 scriptures right there. I told you guys I wasn't going to count them anymore, but I got to, let everybody know what's going on. You can look all those scriptures up. They're in the Bible. We're not supposed to love this world. We're supposed to keep our eyes fixed on heaven. But yet, Trump has the people loving this world, doesn't he? Oh, we're going to fix the economy. Everything's going to be great. Oh, make America great. America worship. Idolatry. Oh, everyone's going to make tons of money. Everyone's talking about making a bunch of money. Gasara, Nasara. Oh, open up your pockets. You guys, I've been around the block. I've seen this thing come and go. Every few years, they start talking about it's dark. It's so evil what they say. Everyone, spend everything you can on your credit cards. Just go for it because we're going to get all this gold back. It's going to go back to the people. Just like in the Dark Knight. And then all the right-leaning people go out, jack up all their credit cards, thinking it's all going to get wiped clean. And then it never does. And then they're financially ruined. I've seen it happen 3 times since this channel started in 2012. Happened like in 2013. People are saying that. Something about the white dragons from China. All this money was going to get released. They even had like trolls going out and buying people laptops, saying that you would get a free laptop if you spread this information on YouTube, on your YouTube channel. It was crazy. A lot of channels got drawn into this. Oh, jack up your credit cards. Who cares? It's all going to get wiped clean. And now the letter that shall not be named crowd from Q University are saying the same thing. Oh, any day now, Jasara Nasara, everything's going to get wiped clean. Just spend, spend, spend. Don't worry about your debt. Does that sound like what the Bible teaches? So many Christians deceived, believing in things that have nothing to do with biblical principles. It's all based on money. Thinking money is going to solve the problem versus something else. Now, I had a couple people in yesterday's comments were upset at me because I said that being rich was a curse. Now, let me clarify that. Having money is not a curse. Making sure that you've planned for the future is not a curse. Having a little bit of disposable income so you can have some time with your family and for the fruits of your labors is not a curse. It's richness that is the curse. And why do I say that? Now, the Bible doesn't actually say being rich is a curse, but here's what it does say. It says it's really, 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 really hard for people that are rich to get to heaven. So therefore, it becomes a curse. Why would you wish that on somebody? It's like saying, it's like going up to someone and saying, I'm going to give you, let's think of a really good example. I'm going to give you this, well, that's not a good example. I'm going to give you something that's going to cause your life to be a living hell. Let's just put it that way. Why would you do that to somebody? That's like putting a curse on them. You're cursing them by giving them that thing. It's going to make their life a living hell. And that's what Jesus was saying. It's harder for a rich man to get to heaven than it is for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. So why would you wish that on somebody? Oh, I hear it all day. My Christian brothers and sisters telling me, what about Abraham? What about, well, that's because they walked the narrow walk. They beat the odds. Yeah, they were rich, but they beat the odds. That doesn't mean that it wasn't a hard walk. And for every person in the Bible that was rich that did beat the odds, which there aren't too many, there's like 2 or 3, there's 10 more that didn't beat the odds, that got corrupted by the power and money. David sent somebody's husband into battle, try to kill him to steal his wife. Solomon, who was also very rich, what happened to him? He got led astray and was worshiping false gods. Right? And we know the rest of the story. It's very difficult for people in power, people with money, to make it to heaven. Now, there is a difference from where a person gets their riches from. Abraham obviously was promised this. God said, your numbers will number in the sands of the sea and the stars of the sky. That's what God told Abraham. Your seed. He promised him abundance, didn't he? Yes, he did. And so that was directly from God. It was a covenant. Not you and me working in the beast system, stacking up $100 bills so we can drive fancy cars and think it came from God. That's not from God. He didn't promise us that. What does he promise us? He promises us a lot of things. He promises that we won't be hungry and that we'll be okay. We'll have our needs met. That's what he promises us. Not excess and all these things and stacks of money so we can build him a mega church. He doesn't promise that. So, just a little clarification on that. Because, I get people are real sensitive about this money topic. But the Bible is very, very clear, you guys. It is very clear. Now, someone else said, oh, God doesn't want us to be impoverished. That's not what I said. I didn't say God wants us to be in poverty and poor. Of course he doesn't. But here's the caveat. Being poor, and it has different meanings to different people. Let me give you an example. When I went to France, everyone was like, how do you get to go to France? Well, guess what? You want to know the truth about my experience in France? I was living off of 300 euros a month for a year and a half. Working my tail off. I lost like 15 pounds. Why? Because I was taking care of 6 acres of property for Mark, living off of 300 euros a month, which for those of you that don't know is about $300 a month, which I gave 250 of that back to Mark to pay for the utilities and worked my tail off. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, you were poor. But guess what? That was the most abundance in my life that I had ever experienced. I had my best friend there. I had chickens. I had long-term security because Mark's like, you could stay here forever. I wasn't worried about a bunch of assets and things I needed to pay insurance on and this and that. Many people will say, oh, you were over there being poor. No, I wasn't. That was the most abundance I'd ever have. The more stuff you have, the more you spend. The more you make, the more you spend. The more you have, the more you spend. The more you have, the more you feel like you need to protect the things that you have. I was completely happy over there. I would take my little 30 euros a month. I would go buy some basic food. My mom got on the program. She started sending me $100 a month, which was nice, but she didn't do that for very long. And I always paid Mark every single month. Started out with $350, but then I lost my YouTube channel. So people say, what will you do for the kingdom? I've done a lot already. I mean, we can always do more, but I've made a lot of sacrifices to try to show you guys the truth and worked for free for many, many years. Many years. So I feel your struggle. I was there. I did it. I didn't have some successful YouTube channel, jet setting around Europe while I was there. barely had enough money to put a few liters of petrol in my car, putz around locally, and go and just really try to shop the best I could to make my food last. Mark would bring me food when he came from England, and nobody knows that story. People say, Casey, why do you tell the story? Well, because people are like, why do you let people bother you? Well, if I don't tell you the truth about what's happening in my life, then all of the rumors and all of the lies proliferate. I have to set the record straight. Otherwise, I'm being dishonest with you. Oh, but you should have heard the trolls. You should have heard the channels. Oh, Casey's over there in France. Who can afford that? You know, just naysayer after naysayer. A lot of people dropped off the channel. I couldn't believe it. But that's the truth about what happened over there. And I wanted to stay forever. It was a wonderful, beautiful place. I enjoyed the hard work, even though it was really hard. I learned a lot of stuff because Mark's into like carpentry and plumbing. So we did projects together when he would come over. And then, of course, the rest is history. The world changed. And the Holy Spirit told me it's time to go. And at that point, it was time to go. And I knew it, and I was sad about it. I didn't want to leave, but I missed my mother, who, you know, was getting into her 70s. And I knew there wouldn't be too many years left with her to at least see her and be in the same country as her. I didn't see my son for years. And I did see my daughter because it's a long story, but basically her extended family lives in France because her uncle married a French woman and they moved back to France. So I did get to see my daughter while I was there. But I remember getting in my car, my little car, and with the steering wheel on the wrong side, that took me like 2 weeks to figure that out. I almost crashed a bunch of times. They ride on the same side of the road, but the car I had was switched to the other side, the steering wheel. So I had to shift. It was a stick shift, 5-speed. I had to shift with the other hand, which was really weird. And I remember getting in my car, wanting to go fishing, wanting to go places, and actually counting and looking at the amount of gas in my tank, knowing that I had no more money in my pocket, and if something happened, that was it. And God protected me for an entire year and a half. It was like I was in a bubble. Nothing really bad happened to me over there. I had a few visitors. A few people showed up. I lived in Europe. It was really cool. And it was an amazing experience. But it was weird because just a few months after I left, and I was way past my visa. I wasn't even sure if I was going to make it out of there. The Yellow Vest movement began. Then, of course, VidCo 19. And now you can't even get back into France without having your Smack the Nation. Mark can't even go back to his own properties without the Smack the Nation. And he's angry about it because the properties are just sitting there growing over, and he's paying taxes on them every single year. $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in taxes for these two properties that he can't even go visit. And this is the world we live in now. So people don't know the whole story. So I have to set the record straight. Otherwise, people go around and say just really horrible things about us and me and our channel. And this is why I have to address the trolls. Now, why is it that so many people troll me? Well, that's up to you to decide. Hopefully, you can see what's going on here. Every single day, we're busting this truth out, showing you this stuff. I think we probably work harder than most channels, and they don't like that. There's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of people just calling us a shill. I don't know how you could call this channel a shill with everything we've shown you. I don't know how people can do that, but there are a lot of people that won't follow this channel because they believe the rumors. So yeah, let them, I guess, but we also have to set the record straight and tell people what the truth is. So all right, what else is going on in here? Gosh, I was on a rant there, wasn't I? Sorry about that. I feel like the better our work's gotten, the worse the trolling has gotten, hasn't it? And I love you guys. We do get a lot of support on this channel. You guys are amazing. All of you. I don't say it enough. We do get a lot of encouragement on this channel. but that doesn't seem to matter to some people. So, all right, what else is going on? All right, is there anything else you guys want to talk about Anne Heche? What do you guys think of that decode? Troll Patrol. Yeah, Joey remembers me living in Paris. Oh, I was not in Paris. I was actually way out in the countryside near La Mont Saint-Michel. There's a huge castle out there. They do a lot of filming of some of these epic movies because it literally looks like a real castle with a moat. And I was about 30 miles from there, way out in the fields with the cows. It was pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. They have some strange food in France. Like you could literally go to the grocery store and they have snails. Some live, some dead, some frozen. You can see whole like whole duck. Duck. All kinds of like weird food that I've never eaten before. But I did try the duck. The duck's actually really good. The chickens taste different. And the beef tastes different as well. It's probably more organic and natural, I'm imagining. Because I don't think they allow GMO in France. At least that was up till recently. No horse meat for me. Now we do have a lot of the videos from France if you're interested in taking a look at that. It's obviously old news. It was from what, 5 years ago now? 4 or 5 years ago. But for those of you that are interested, there are France videos on here, and you could see that whole thing we went through, and it was an amazing experience. Tried to document as much of it as I could. Yeah, that's the other thing. They eat liver over there. It's like pate. I tried that a couple times, but then I found out that sometimes they'll take the liver out. They'll grow these duck basically just for their liver, which is probably unethical. And it makes the duck or the goose very unhealthy. And then I think they do take the duck and like harvest the rest of the duck too. But yeah, it's the whole process of duck liver is kind of weird, I guess. I don't know. GMO is creeping in here in France. Oh, cool. Jackie's from France. Very cool. Yeah, I lived in Saint-Martin-de-Landels. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Learned a little bit of French while I was there. Yeah, foie gras. That's what the duck liver is called. Snails are copper. Yeah, it's definitely an unclean food. I've tried snails a couple times, but I couldn't afford it when I was there. One thing that was cheap over there was lox, which is basically thinly sliced fish. It was relatively cheap compared to and every once in a while I'd treat myself, I'd pay like €7 or €8 for a sheet of lox, and I would eat like lox and bagels with thinly sliced tomato and capers. That's one of my favorite things to eat, and cream cheese. And it was weird. I ate a lot of like cheese there, but I didn't gain weight. There's something about their cheese and their milk that's different. I don't know what it is, but it's really, really different. And pretty much everyone drinks wine there. Wine, even the children drink wine there. But the people were very sweet. They were very nice. There's actually a video of my neighbor who had just finished with hip surgery. And I had a backup with my sewage. And there was sewage everywhere. What had happened was there was a bush in between the sewage line and the sewer. That the roots grew into it. And it was backing up the sewer. And literally the house was filling up in all the pipes inside the house with sewage. And like mold started growing on the walls. You couldn't really smell anything. But when you took a shower, like it was coming up through the bottom of the shower. I was like, there's a problem here. So I went to the neighbor. I'm like, I have no money to fix this. And he's like, let me call the sewage people. That's not how they talk. But I'm trying to give you guys a good, representation of it. So he calls this guy up, and here I'm thinking, you know, in America, this is a $500 to $1,000. This is what the plumber is going to charge you to clear a line outside, right? Lo and behold, guy charged me €50, $50. That was it. He came out, he had a snake, he opened up this vent outside, starts doing this thing, and the neighbor came by with his hip surgery, and he had this sock on, compression sock. This is the kind of people that there are there. Now, the closest people that I could compare to the people out in the countryside of France are the people here in Arkansas. They're very similar to the people in France. Very nice. The one thing missing in France is the God factor. You don't really get the God bless yous and all that. People praying for you. But very sweet people nonetheless. And they helped me out of a bind. So that was cool. So, yeah, thanks, Catilla. Yeah, it was a lot of fun in France. As broke as I was, you know, it was a lot of fun. And I always looked forward to Mark's visits. You know, he would stay for a couple weeks. His wife would get upset because she had to hold down the fort while he was over there with me. But he didn't really ask for those properties. They were given to him by his father, who basically had passed away shortly after I got there. But I was there pretty much just to be like a property manager. Was going to be my role, you know, and so that's how all that went down. But then his dad passed away, and I ended up, and then he had to fix these properties up. They became like his responsibility. And it was a lot of stress for him during those years. And I tried to make it easier on him by being there and doing all that I could to keep, you know, everything mowed and looking nice. So, yeah, there's a couple live streams that we did from there. You guys can see them on this channel. You can see me in the live stream. I'm under an umbrella, of all things, right? After all the stuff we found out about umbrellas, I'm under an umbrella in the window because it was hot and the sun was shining in my face, and I was bootlegging internet off of the neighbor because it took like a whole month to even get internet out there. And so I would go to the window, which is what had the best reception. And we did a couple of live shows from the window, which is pretty cool. But it's crazy how stuff comes full circle, isn't it? All the stuff about umbrellas that we've uncovered. God has a sense of humor, and he starts dropping in these little clues throughout our life that we can look back on and go, oh my gosh, that is crazy. Like, that connects full circle back around with what we've been uncovering right now. And none of it's by accident. None of it's coincidence. You can do the same thing. You can look back in your life and see things that didn't seem to make sense back then, but now are as clear as day. And that's God talking to you. It's him saying, I've got all this under control, and this connects with that, and this is how we learn. Bootlegging though. Yeah, they let me though, Sabrina. It was I went next door. It was so tedious because the people next door did not speak any English at all. It was a father, his wife, and 2 kids. The kids were like late teens, early 20s. One of the kids knew how to speak a little bit of English, but basically I had to go and translate and write it on like a notepad and do the best that I could to figure that out. Oh, we got a bot. Let's get rid of this bot. Jeez. Come on, YouTube. Figure this out. Their algorithms are so specific. They can go back and find a video from a year ago and give me a strike on it, but they can't get rid of bots who are advertising sites on. I mean, unbelievable. Anyway, so yeah, so that's what was going on. So I had to like translate everything onto like a notepad, and I had to try to basically write in French, and that's how we communicated. But yeah. All right. Okay, guys. Well, I guess we'll pop off of here. I appreciate everybody coming out. Apparently, okay, this is what we're going to talk about on our next show. I don't know when we're going to do this show. Probably, I was going to do it tomorrow. We'll see. Tomorrow's Saturday. I actually have a busy day tomorrow. So maybe Sunday. But this is Demi Lovato's new album cover. How do people still not believe in Jesus when they just mock him constantly? You guys, Jesus is the only God, and I say that with a capital G, that the world allows to be mocked in plain sight. That should tell you that he's the true God, the Son of the Father. They don't let you mock all the other gods. They don't let you mock Buddha. You don't see Buddha getting mocked like this. Depicting him as a woman in whatever you call this, ropes, bondage, unbelievable. Why did they let this happen? It's because he's real. If you haven't figured it out by now. So I guess we're going to try to decode this. I don't do a lot of these kinds of decodes anymore. They're just so dirty. I just feel dirty after I Dancing with the Devil. Look at this. These are all the songs. I'm sure there's something to decode there. But this is mainstream now. And of course there's blasphemy in the title of the actual album. So I guess I'm going to try to break that down. We'll see. Probably couple it with some kind of headline show maybe. We'll do the two together. But anyway, I appreciate everyone coming out, especially all the new people as well. And you guys all have a great rest of your weekend. Take care and be safe, you guys.